In 3, 2.
All right. Well, welcome to the Mostly Good Americans podcast. I am your host, Graham, with my co-host,
Azra Wind.
And today we have with us a very special guest.
Vloss Visual.
And we are so excited to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're returning with one of our other previous guests.
HYS Dom. HYS Dom.
Say it with your chest.
Say it with your...
HYS Dom.
Yeah. See, we love support.
It'll still pick it up,
Okay.
even if it's
love
far
support
away.
over here. Okay, so for those of our audience who don't know, what is it that you do?
So I am a photographer / now model. So I do anywhere from fashion photography, editorial, portraits, the whole nine. And a bit of videography as well.
And how long would you say that you've been doing that, like, seriously?
Professionally, I want to say probably for the last 2 years now, 2.5, almost going on 3.
Right.
But I've been shooting since, I want to say 2017.
Okay.
I was starting with, like digital and then film photography. But yeah, it's been 10 years and professionally 2-3 years, I would say.
Nice. And so what kind of, like, led you into pursuing a career in, like, photography and visuals?
I think just from, like, hearing my friends, like you have a creative eye, like, oh my gosh, like, just taking, like, any type of vision and pretty much making it into a reality and just kind of adding my own, like, artistic flair, my own version of, like, the take of the shoot and just kind of, like, letting my own creativity flow throughout the session and just kind of seeing where it goes, really, and adding on to it, kind of, like, pouring more water into, like, a flower base.
Were you always interested or doing photography, like when you were younger and stuff, or did that kind of happen, like, as you progressed?
I think I had a knack or I leaned into, well, I used to be a dancer. Let's start with that.
Okay.
I was a dancer. I did ballet, like, all my life. So I did, like, ballet point. I did competitive dancing as well. So I did, like, jazz, tap, contemporary, all that. I was in the arts since I was probably, like, 4 years old. So I've been dancing since that age. So going from that, I've been, immersed in the arts, like theater, dancing. And then going into high school, I went to G-Star. So I was in, like, the film production program. And I was like, wow, this is actually, this is really cool. Like, people are actually making, like, big films with, like, what they have. So I guess just from that, it kind of, like, helped kickstart my passion for the arts of, film and photography. Yeah.
What do you feel like, now that you've been doing this professionally for a couple years, what's, like, the difference between being, like, a casual person who, like, takes photos or, like, does some shoots or whatever versus, like charging money and, like, making kind of a career out of it and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so, like, I guess my take on, like, would you say free shoots versus, like, regular shoots? Or
yeah, well, or just, like, feeling like getting to, like, a level where you're like, okay, like I have
charging.
experience and
Yeah.
like I know what I'm talking about and, like, I feel
Right.
comfortable saying, like, I demand this amount or whatever.
I think it all comes down to experience, really, and it doesn't really matter on, like, of course, like, the quantity of shoots adds to it, but I guess how you approach each shoot as well. So I guess, like, the structure of it and, like, the organization. So it all depends really on the rollout and how you approach that.
Right.
So, like, you can do a casual shoot and kind of lose track of time. I feel like time is very important, even though it's like, oh, is time even real? But it's like, but, like, when you're actually making, like, beats or, like, like, time is really important. You can, like, be locked in for, like, 4 hours, or, like, I can get lost in editing for, like, 4 hours. So I feel like placing time frames is really important. So you say you can have a casual shoot and really you're like, oh yeah, let's shoot from, like, 5 to 6, and it's really like you start 5:30 and it ends at, like, 8. It's like, oh my god, where did the time go? Whereas, where you have the experience and then you've done X amount of shoots, you're like, okay, I know how long this is going to run for. I know the amount of shoots or shots I'm going to take. Kind of, like, placing, like, the limits on that and kind of, like, using that as your own, like, schedule.
Yeah, kind of like intentionalizing your work.
Yeah,
like,
being more intentional, definitely. I feel like that's really important, too.
Do you feel like that's something you had to learn, how to be intentional?
Yeah. I would say, probably at, like, 100%. Being intentional in your work, I feel like, is pretty important, down to, like, the time. And even with posing, because I feel like you can have a lot of, like, repetitive poses.
Right.
And I feel like, everybody can struggle with that. It's like, oh, I already did, like, front-facing poses, like portrait style, or, like, kind of, like, doing, like, a three-point arch or something, like, making, like, triangles, like, working with your models. I just feel like you always need to have that constant, like, idea.
I've shot with you before.
Yeah.
It's always very fun, but you are pretty, like, directive in the shoot. You're like, okay, this one, like, I'm gonna change the angle, and like you guys sit on the floor, but like this other one, we're all like locked arms or like whatever. You remember that?
That was a fun.
Yeah, that was like actually I think the first time I met you.
Yeah,
but,
with the model body. Or was that a different?
The one with
We did
It was
like a
JP.
denim.
Yeah, it was like
because we did a shoot or like an impromptu one.
Yeah, the one at the
I remember that was with the mannequin.
The mannequin body. I remember
that was a good one too, though. Impromptu.
Yeah. Well, we like showed up, but you were doing the shoot.
Yeah, you were doing.
So okay, so let's like reference that, I guess. Like people are Mo hosted these little like pop up. Like people would kind of book with you, but also just kind of show up, and you would like, and you would like set up like a whole little, what was the name of the event?
What? Dom here.
Like the Blueprint Gallery.
No, the one where
we'll get into that.
But the one
like,
with at HYS when you guys would set up like.
Did a number of
it was like
a
photo. It was like
it was just like it was a series
photo event.
Yeah,
portrait event.
Like a mini portrait session.
Yeah, you would like shoot people. They would come through, pay $20. They would get like these professional grade photos done. Like you had like the yearbook theme and like the cyber.
That was kind of how you started to market yourself in the beginning. I think that gave you a lot of traction in the scene out here.
I feel like events definitely help, and like networking, like meeting you guys to just being more community involved. I feel like, but like back to the HYS events, those are really fun. Like the little pop-ups and like come through. Like you can shop at HYS and then you take your photos. So it's like a win-win situation.
Right.
I would say.
Yeah. Good times. No, for sure. Well, kind of jumping back to what Dom was talking about a little bit earlier, the Blueprint Gallery. That was sick. That was really fun.
Yeah.
That was or is it Basil or Basil?
I think it's Basil.
I love Basil.
Damn, I feel like
it's
I'm
interchangeable.
I'm from Florida. I feel like I should know this.
I know that.
But
I met some people. I don't remember where that had never even heard of it before that lived here, and I was like, what?
What?
People travel internationally.
Yeah, I was like,
how you never even heard of this?
All right, but anyway, Art Basil, whatever. We were there. Mo was putting on an event. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So it's called We Are the Blueprint, also known, AKA Blueprint Gallery. For short.
Blue.
So Dom and I are why you look at like Dom and I were the curators, the brains of Blueprint Gallery. So we, got together and we're just like, we wanted to do something that was more community forward and engaging for the arts. And really, the Blueprint, it's like the blueprint or the foundation of like, artists coming together and paving the road of never-ending creation, thus literally being the blueprint. Like, how you build a house, you want to have a nice structure, you have a blueprint in order to make that come to life. So that's kind of like how we piece together the Blueprint Gallery, and then having both like local artists and like emerging artists being a part of it and showcasing their work and their talent, and then networking as well and meeting new creatives and stuff like that. So we had the Art Basel event in December. I believe it was the weekend night. I think it was like the true opening night of Art Basel. So it was nice. We had like a nice pop-up, it had a great turnout. A lot of people came.
It
was really great. Shout out to you guys. Thank you so much again for being a part of it and DJing too.
We was out there in the cut,
spinning records
and clothes.
It was great. It definitely did have a good turnout. We had people like photographers showcasing their work up on the walls. I had like a little photo pop-up thing where people come and get their portraits taken. So that was accessible to, those who came in and, bought their tickets and stuff like that. Then I had you guys as well, like vending, and then,
we had a couple other people vending. There was
a good number.
It was a great event.
Definitely.
People showed face. That was a good time.
Yeah, it's always a great time.
Have you always been based out of Florida? Did you live in another state previous to here?
I've been in Florida like all my life, born and raised here in South Florida. So we are Florida grown.
Florida grown.
Florida grown, Florida made.
Do you think that has a big effect on your photography being from Florida?
I want to say yes, because I do feel truly like connected to my roots here. For more like background context, like my dad's Irish American and my mom's full Filipino, so I'm like of course a product of that. So I do feel connected to like both Florida and then especially like my Oriental roots being like Filipino, because I feel like people don't really like pay attention. I feel like Filipino is just like a bypass thing, you know, because they're just like, oh, it's like culturally blended.
Right.
Because it's like Hispanic and Asian. In a
Yeah,
sense.
but and like Pacific Islander, it's like, oh, are you Asian? You know, like the debate about that. But you know, I'm proud to be who I am. I'm proud to be in my skin. So I definitely do feel connected. You know, being in South Florida and being a photographer, and I want to showcase more of that too.
Yeah, it is South Florida is a very like multicultural place. Like you get a lot of influence from a lot of things. And I think you capture a lot of that. You shoot a lot of different types of people and types of living and that kind of stuff. And your subjects are usually people. Like, you know, some people are like nature photographers or like architecture or whatever. Like you specialize in people.
Yeah.
Do you find like a comfort in being able to like see yourself in other people when you shoot them, like because you're directing or like, you know, styling and that kind of stuff?
That's a good question. Yeah. I feel like starting out with photography, I felt connected to my subjects and more so like the product of the shots by, you know, like directing and stuff. But I love to see like the comfortability of my like subjects, of my models, of those who I am shooting who are in front of my lens. And then of course like I'll show them the photos too and make sure like they like them. But I just, you know, focus on the comfort of my subjects. I feel like it's very important. Never gonna let somebody do something that they don't want to. But I just feel like through creative directing and stuff, I do feel connected, and it's just nice to see people truly enjoying themselves too.
It's like it's a very vulnerable process. So to like have people like trust you with like you know, having their body
moving their body
portrayed in these ways
like
and stuff. It is like a very like intimate thing, honestly.
It is, whether it's them solo or with like a group of people. It's like you are still being showcased in a still photo. So you know,
what is something that you would tell your younger photographer self, like some like unforgettable advice
that you can,
because there's definitely a photographer watching right now, probably just starting, you know. So if you have any like tips or like just ideologies that you can pass on to like, you know, maybe a photographer that's just starting out.
I would say honestly, don't be scared. Don't be scared to reach out, because, you know, just like being in the industry and stuff, it's like don't shy yourself away from opportunities, because if you never reach out or you never go to such and such event where you feel like it might be conducive to you and like your future, your career, you really never know the turnout. Like I one day walked into HYS and then here I am now with my future husband.
At one of Graham's, yeah, we put this shit together. Yeah. Bitch.
But what I would tell like the younger group or the younger photographers is to really just like trust yourself. Go. Honestly, I think I read something somewhere, and it's like an unknown artist who said it, but like your most underused business tool is your intuition, and follow that. Like follow your own volition, you know, because you have your own personal compass. So it's like act off of that, act accordingly, and make your moves. Make what you feel as though is necessary for you in your future. So that's, if you're listening, some sauce, but yeah.
Trust your gut.
Trust your gut, definitely.
What are, and it doesn't have to be any of your favorite, but what are some of your photography influence or just artistic influences? It doesn't even have to be, you know, a photographer. Just, you know, what are some other mediums that inspire you to take photos?
That's a really great question, actually. Like, a really good question, because I feel like I'm influenced by new environments, new instances, new faces, new places. I feel like Dr. Seuss.
Hey, that's how it is.
Literally. But I feel like I'm influenced by everyday life, or like, you know, the thoughts of like what could be, and just thinking ahead is like, what can I piece together and just kind of create within my own mind, and like with my own hands, like taking my camera and just kind of like shooting off of like what I'm putting together. But yeah, no, I'm influenced by pretty much like everything around me. I want to say back in high school, I had like this old Kate Spade coffee table book, right? I found
Kate
it,
Spade.
Literally. And I found it at
R.I.P.
Marshall's.
Rest in peace.
Found it at Marshall's. Shout out. It was a nice like green coffee table book. And then it had like a bunch of like film photography in it. And I remember just like flipping through it. And actually shout out my dad because he used to bring home these magazines, like, I don't know, like Elle or like Harper's Bazaar, or like things like that, Vogue, especially Vogue. He would just like hand them to me, just like, oh, just like flip through it, you know, like just see for yourself, like if you like any of the photos. And I was just like, wow, like the lighting was beautiful, the models look beautiful. And like now, like Tyler did his thing with Louis Vuitton, and like that just, oh my, can we just talk about like the creative direction, like the way it was shot, the campaign, like everything was pieced together in such a cohesive and beautiful manner. Like I'm definitely influenced by, I want to say, like our current culture.
You're the second person, I think so a lot of blues inspiration, he said, came from Thrasher magazines when he was a kid. So it's cool to see how, you know, those very little things end up having like the, you know, the largest impact. You know,
it definitely does.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember reading like sports car magazines and Thrasher.
Right.
As legit, and that's like why I dress and like talk about the things I talk about.
Yeah, I'll get
Like
Game
early
Informer.
influence.
Yeah. Game Informer?
Yo.
Game Informer was so
Yo,
fun.
every month,
Yeah.
bro, one time it didn't come, I was like, Mom, we have to go into GameStop to get like the
And buy
latest.
this magazine.
We have to get this magazine.
Yeah, magazines are fire. Has any of your work been published in something like that?
I've been in the Arts Garage. Like I had a gallery showcasing last year for the Divine Feminine exhibition. So
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a really great experience. Shout out to Naja, the arts director and curator there. My girl, she had me, you know, come in and I installed like my 11 pieces, and I had like a nice like interview and stuff. So, you know, I'm featured on their website, and then speaking of, I actually have an upcoming show with them again.
Oh, nice.
So it's like second annual showcasing
Oh, okay.
for the Art Walk.
Yeah.
So I have another show coming up. The first one will be May 3rd, and the second one's June 7th. But feature on that, and just working on more like digital archive work as well.
Okay, sick. Nice. So, just a little bit more about that event. Is it still the Divine Feminine theme? Or are you doing a new like collection or anything?
Yeah, it's a different collection now. It's actually called The Hopeless Romantic. So it's a new exhibition. I'm actually featuring, it's called like My Red Ties. It's like a love thing, or like it's a red string of fate. If you ever heard of that, it's like the red string of fate theory, where it's like
I was like,
I think
yeah,
I
please.
have-
I was like, please.
Yeah,
I think I have
I'd love
heard
to
of
hear
this,
not
but
to
I-
twisted up the title, but yeah, it's my Love Ties series. Also, it's my Love Ties series. It's based off of the Red String of Fate, some like Chinese Eastern mythology. Like two lovers or like two like connected souls have this like invisible thread, or like a red piece of thread connecting to each other. So no matter how far away you are, and whether you're like on this side of the world, and then, you know, and wherever you are, really, you're all like always connected.
What's that theory called again?
The Red String of Fate.
Oh, the red string of fate.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's
so-
really
And so
cool.
this collection is based off
It's
that
based
idea.
off of that. And then
Okay.
spin off of that, it's like it also coincides with like the Hopeless Romantic, because it is like love forward.
This might be are we gonna say something dumb?
No, I was just saying,
It's dumb. Not to like expose all the work. I
Yeah.
want, you know, the public to come and see it,
Yeah.
but it's Dom was actually the model for it, and
But
Yeah, no.
It's cool, it's cool.
Yeah, I honestly really enjoyed the shoot and the concept, and for some reason, you know how like you have your best thoughts at like 2 a.m. or in the shower?
Yes.
It was one of those. So
Nice.
I
I think there's a study about that's like a real thing. Like there's like a correlation between, you know, being up that late and having good ideas. This is kind of maybe not like an off-kilter question, but how do you think AI is going to influence like photographers in the future, especially with like I've been seeing video ads on like Instagram and TikTok for like these AI like photo editing apps. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of them look pretty interesting, but then I also get like the worry of like, well, man, like this is, you know, accessibility is great, but this is gonna make it like really hard to, you know, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like, you know, AI can be looked at as something positive or negative depending on the take and how you're including it into your work. So, like, for example, like, you know, in Photoshop, you can use the AI background to kind of like fix up the background, add some parts in,
Yeah.
you know, kind of like cipher that part out.
Generative
editing.
fill.
Yeah, using that to like enhance your background
Mhm.
or fix little parts. That can be a positive thing to your work. Like I feel like that can be used as a tool to kind of like yes, like back then it was harder because like you really had to put in the work and kind of like use a clone tool and all that
Yeah,
stuff and kind
yeah.
of like do it yourself. But I feel like now as, you know, we're advancing, the generations are advancing, it can be something positive. But then again, I feel like there is somewhat like a limitation to it
Mhm.
because AI is creative, yes, but like who created AI? You know,
Right.
Was it like human generated? And we are creative, like creative beings.
Mhm.
So
You need like that's what I was thinking about the whole
Yeah.
time you were saying this is that you need like an input to get the output, and
Yeah.
like it is still like a machine that you give an input and gives an output.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
need like a generative source,
Right.
and you're still creating the base idea, the content, like the image. Like if you
Yeah.
supply the image and are like generative fill like this thing,
Yeah.
you're still like
You
it's-
still, what's that
Yeah.
saying? Like you can't put like sprinkles on shit. Like it's still gonna be, it's just gonna be
Shit.
shit with sprinkles
Sprinkles.
on it. Like I think,
funny analogy.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's an analogy.
that's
that,
like
that,
a
that,
good one, but yeah.
yeah, like I think that's what the future's gonna be like. Is we're gonna have all these amazing tools for video editing, but if you don't know how to hold a camera, you just don't have that mojo. And I think that's something that like as I've interviewed like a lot of different people, I say like, you know, when you're in your field, you gain a mojo, a formula of how you do, you know, certain things.
Yeah.
So I
It's
think-
a style still, and
Yeah.
like if your style is AI, that's the AI. That's not you. You can
Right.
use AI as a tool to continue
Mhm.
on and like
Exactly.
you know give you a
Yeah.
little bit of a boost, but it's still like at the end of the day your idea and what you're putting there. Like
So we've had somebody over here that's been a little quiet, so we want to trade gears a little bit. Dom, HYS Dom, we briefly talked about how you guys met, you know, at the Welcome to the Pit.
it was my first pop up. Shout out Dom for letting me have my first
First
pop up
pop-up.
ever
What was
at
your
the
first
shop.
pop-up?
That was like, and it was all Dom's shit. I was just like printed it on like my pieces and like fucking.
It's true.
I literally, it was not even my designs. I just like made money off of Dom's designs, and he was real as fuck
Gangsta.
about it.
Oh.
I was like, I printed some crazy shit though.
Yeah, it was all fine shit.
But yeah, I remember you came through. I was like, Dom, how do you feel like you've seen Mo like grow?
In that moment,
Damn,
yeah.
y'all making me emotional.
She's
That's what
grown
we
a
do,
lot.
man.
She's grown a lot. Like since like when we first met, like it was a lot different. Like I feel like we go out a lot, and then like now it's like we're growing up. Like I feel like we're just more focused on just like our futures and like good shit rather than just like what's the next play or something like that.
Are we gonna get lit?
Yeah, shit like that. So it's been pretty great. Like I'm not gonna lie, like she's really helped like my brand a lot. She's helped me with like myself a lot, like self improvement.
Yeah, because you guys synergize your brands together kind of now, where, you know,
Yeah,
I see that you guys do a lot of cross
Like
marketing,
events,
you know,
like
what I
like
mean?
you said,
Yeah.
Blue Point was you, or
Yeah.
not Blue Point.
Blueprint.
What'd you say?
Blue Point's my dad's company actually,
Like, Blue Cross
but
Blue
Okay,
Shield.
yeah.
Okay, insurance.
That's hard. But no, yeah, like even with the what's it called, the Blueprint gallery shit, like that shit was fire, like because it showed like we can really gather people up, have like something planned, and actually like have something great come out of it. It's like just from that, like it just shows how like when you put a lot of plan and like preparation behind shit, like it can really go well type shit. So like she helps a lot with that. She helps a lot with like on my business end shit too, because most of the time I'm just like making shit and pushing it out, and she helps me like synchronize it and like put it in a way to where it's like actually I don't know, profitable or like
Right.
marketable type shit too.
Right.
So it's like yeah, she just grown a lot from when I first met her to now. Like I say, like now she's a, boss, like CEO. Like
Cash money Mo.
Yeah, for real.
True cash money.
What's one thing you've learned from Mo in the time that you
Like biggest lesson.
biggest
from
lesson?
Mo.
And then I'm gonna ask you what's
Yeah.
one thing you've learned from Dom. So you get time to think.
Stand on business.
Yeah, like at all times. Yeah, like just always stand on
10 toes
business
down.
and always
That's
just
what
mean
he
what you
said.
say. And always just move with intention.
Mm-hmm.
Move like plan, move prepared, like plan. So then just in case, always plan for the worst, or what's the phrase?
Yeah.
Type shit, like prepare for the worst, but pray for the best, or some shit like that. Like she helps me with that. Like, and I would say just another one is like count every dollar type shit. Like just make sure shit's there, and always make sure you're not fucking up. Like that's a good one. That's,
Always make sure
Yeah.
you're
You're
not
not
fucking up.
fucking
up.
She keeps
Yeah,
him on his
bro.
P's and Q's.
Yeah.
And what's
I love that,
one
yeah.
thing you've learned from
I want to say the biggest thing. Damn, y'all gonna make me emotional. I want to say the biggest thing Dom has taught me was unconditional love.
Fuck, dude. We're all gonna cry on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
On 420, the tears be
Yeah,
rolling.
this is also the 420 podcast.
Yeah,
just
it's
so
also the
everybody
420
knows.
podcast. Also, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries.
First woman on the podcast.
Sick
Boop,
of
boop, 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 boop,
moment.
boop.
Yes.
But going back, unconditional
Okay.
love. Oh my god.
So many things are happening.
Oh my god. Dom just really taught me a lot about unconditional love and just like what real love is, and just feeling truly seen and cared for, and being my own independent self and giving me my own light and the room to grow. And damn, bro.
Yeah.
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 And just truly like believing in myself and my craft and my art, and just having the support as well, and just just feeling like I'm really not alone in this, and having somebody to like push forward and look forward to living life with.
Oh, dude.
Real shit.
This is the most beautiful moment that's ever happened on the podcast.
If you're watching this right now,
Dude, my lashes.
You know.
Mr. What?
the waterworks might be coming on, but it's a good lesson in you never know how something's going to play out. You never know who's going to walk into the room that's going to change your life.
Yeah.
Literally.
So
You
put
know.
yourself in as many rooms as possible.
Yes.
Do you have other questions that you would like to go through?
I would like to ask Mo. We kind of already talked about that. I would like to ask Mo, what are your shout outs? Like people right now in your life besides Dom's. Obviously
Right.
the first shout out is
Right.
gonna be to Dom, but other people that you would like to shout out that have helped you along this journey.
Honestly, I want to shout out to everyone who's been a part of my creative journey, and everybody who I've shot and had the honor of, meeting and connecting with. Honestly, if it weren't for you all in the community and just creatives in general, I really would not be where I am at today. And I want to truly shout out my parents, being a Filipino, it's like you're being pushed to live up to the norm. Like you have to be in the medical field, being
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And, been there, done that. But it's just finding my own light in this, industry, and just kind of pushing forward and developing its own voice for itself is truly something to really take a minute to appreciate. So just shout out to everybody. Shout out my parents too. Shout out my dad giving me the magazines to Vogue, and just
Yeah.
me flipping through it and just
Right.
gaining just the motivation to shoot better.
And what's your what's your motivation? What's your message to the youth?
Oh, my message to the youth would be to stay happy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let other shit or other people fuck up your own shit. And I mean this wholeheartedly. Don't let other people's inner projections, get in the way of how you view yourself, most importantly. That's oh my gosh, it's I think growing up as a younger person, especially being in dance classes or competitive dancing, it's people are constantly pushing their own ideations and their own views of you onto you, and you're 8 years old. But I just want to tell the youth, just follow your heart, follow your own intuition. Your intuition is your own compass.
You said that at the beginning
Yeah.
too. You were
Full circle.
always
Full
trust your
circle
gut.
moment.
Yeah. I was like, well, on that full circle moment, is there any last words you'd like to say?
Thank you for having me.
Mhm,
Thank you,
mhm.
guys. I appreciate it, and I just look forward to creating more.
Yeah, absolutely.
My name is Azer Wind.
My name is Graham.
This is Vloss Visual.
This is HY Style.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Most to Get Americans podcast. We will see you in the next episode. And make sure to check out all their photos and all the stuff they have coming soon. All their links will be in the bio below. And don't forget to check out the website for new articles coming soon. See you guys.
Mostly good Americans.